Sorry about that. I'm not uh, sure if my mic was working the whole time, but I'm just basically going through the scene and fixing some of the things that were going on with the particle system. Um, if the audio wasn't working the whole time, I hope it was, but it might have not been. But yeah, I was just basically fixing the rotation of the particles and trying to make sure everything works correctly. But yeah, so I got all the trees showing up, and it looks like that all the rotation is being applied randomly, which I like because you can see not all of them are in the same position, which is great. And now, if we remember, we had what's it called, a vertex, or what's it here? Vertex group, and we can use that. Remember the weight paint we did in the last one? We can use that to control where to place the trees. So let's just yeah, and I can't hide this because it deletes all these, but I'll fix that later. So I'm gonna add a lot more. I'm gonna actually delete that bake and make that something like 1,000. Wow, and that might be too much because it's only in that small area. Maybe 100, if even that many. Let's go to the camera. This is already looking pretty good. And I want to get that parallax effect, like we're looking into a mountain, and I don't want too many trees. I have to get a little bit less. Maybe 50 would be better. I'm going to check out the weight paint. And I want some more in front, so I'm going to paint some more over here. And you can see the particles are being adjusted in real time as I'm painting, which is really cool. I'm going to bring some trees near the camera, distribute them a little bit more evenly, and let me just disable the particles for now because it slows things down. And I'm going to actually add trees everywhere, but at a low rate, and with much less weight, just so it's not super uneven, because having trees in exactly only one spot would be very unrealistic in nature and probably would never happen. So just gonna fix it to make it more realistic. That should be pretty good. And we can go back to object mode and enable it again. And we have a few trees in the distance, but most of them are here, which is what we want. And I can just go through the seeds values and see when I get one I'm happy with. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Let's bring that up though. And I want some more random size. I'm probably going to go through this a while because I want to get something I'm happy with. Let's see, where is the size? Scale randomness has to be brought up to 0.3. And then that can be brought up to 3. But again, I don't want it to be too large. So that could be 2.5. But on a real mountain, trees would not be super big. I don't think. Maybe something like 2 with the randomness of 0.5 would be a little more realistic. And I think I would be happy with something like this. Especially if I could apply some more. Well, there's too many. I don't need that many, and let's go to the scale and maybe bring that all the way up to 1. Or I can leave that 0.5, but maybe bring the scale down to something like 2 or 1.75. Yeah, and honestly, this isn't bad at all. Gonna zoom out a little bit more. I'm pretty happy with this. I think I'll leave it at that. I guess I could bake that frame. Frame 38, end at 38. And it will bake in like a second. So I'm gonna go back to the particles and just bake that. Whoa, and I did not mean to bake the whole thing, but it did. I'm gonna just 38. Okay, and just bake that. 1 frame. That's all I need. And I'm not sure how to grab that frame and drag it back to the beginning to frame 0. I'm sure there's a way. I'll figure that out later, but yeah. Oh, it actually looks different now. Maybe I should have just left it from frame 1 to 38. Yeah, I think it changes it. Or maybe not. But maybe I don't even need 75. Probably just 50 is a good number. And 1.5. 1.6 might be okay. But I'm going to leave it at 1.75. I want the trees to be relatively big, and that's how I'm going to keep it, I think. Yeah. And that looks great. Let's just take a little preview render and see what kind of look we're getting. I'm gonna apply this HDR I got to this Blender file. Okay, I got this one in. Okay, what is going on with Eevee? Oh, it's compiling all the shaders. So we just gotta wait for that. It's gonna take some time, but that's alright. And it looks like our memory usage is not bad at all, only 2.9 gigabytes. That's not bad. Okay, it's getting there. But I will be rendering this in cycles, but for previewing, usually Eevee is faster. Not always, especially with crazy shaders, but usually it works to be faster. Okay. Yeah, and sometimes Eevee doesn't work correctly and it just displays white. Not sure why. This mode's working, but in Eevee it's just not. Oh. Did it load this? I don't think it did. Let's see, where do I have my files? I'm gonna find out where I got that HDRI on my hard drive. Okay, that's not the correct one. Okay. Shader editor. World. Oh, okay, it's in this drive. Alright. And I can just close that and go to here. And let's let that load in. Again, it's going to take a little bit of time, and yeah, it looks like it's working. And I can go to my camera view. And there's still lots of work to do, especially on the ground. But yeah, we're definitely getting somewhere. And later on, I can actually even apply the particle system. Or what I'm going to do, since I don't want to apply it, because that tends to create geometry. I don't want to apply it, so I'm going to actually change things around. And I'm going to go back to weight paint. Again, it's going to take time. And I'm just going to make this part clear. So turn the weight down to 0 and paint that in. Turn the strength way up, because I want to have a clear path where I can see into the mountains. It'll look better. Okay, and I'll go back to the camera view. And now I can just start adjusting this again. And they are way too big. And there's just too many. 25. One point two. 1.4 maybe. But at the same time, I do want to have less trees over here. So what I'm going to do is just go to weight paint, temporarily disable the particles, turn the strength down to 0.5, and just kind of make it less extreme. Over here. Okay, and now I can go back to object mode, view the camera, and try it again. And that is more what I'm going for. 1.5. And I can make them much bigger now. And we still got a good view of the mountains in the background while having trees too. And the leaves are actually pretty far away, so I might not need to worry about texturing if you won't even notice it, so we'll see about that. But let's go back to Eevee. And yeah, this is starting to look great. Let's see, where do we want this light coming from? I want it from behind the camera. I think behind. I can just see. Actually, I want it in front. It looks better in front. And I can always change the rotation of the x-axis to bring it more down. And you won't even notice it's uneven because it's going to be looking into the clouds anyway, so that's okay. And that's pretty cool, but a little bit too extreme. I'm gonna go like something like that. And look at the glancing light you get off this, which is really nice. Very sharp contrast. And I can always go into cycles. Let's save things first to make sure nothing crashes. Seems like one thing's not working right, and that would be the screws. Let's see what's going on with that. Gotta fix something with this. Okay, it's taking a little bit of time. It'll go. Okay. And I see that these 4 screws are somehow missing a texture, so I'm just going to go back, go to rust, and then assign. Assign. And that should work. Okay, and I think that worked. So I'm going to go back to the camera view. As soon as this Blender starts responding. Okay, and camera. And let's see what we got. Okay, but it's not... it looks like for some reason the screw texture is not working correctly. I'm going to disable the array temporarily, and this one, and see what's going on. Okay. This one too, and it will just make Blender more responsive, so I can fix this. Okay, and I think I applied it. That's weird, but it's not assigning it. Okay, now it's doing something. I think something's going on. I think I forgot to save, so what I can do in the meantime is just... I could just use the metal grungy texture and just fix that later on. Yeah, so that might even look better than the rust, honestly. I'm not really sure. Actually, you guys could leave a comment if you think the screws should be left in rust or keep the metal. Yeah, just give a suggestion if you want, which one would look better. But let's go back to the camera. And let's go back and enable both of the arrays. And let's let Blender take its time. Same thing with this. Okay, and that looks great. Yeah, and let's just take a look at how it looks in cycles. Let's save just so we don't, in case it loses, it becomes unresponsive. And I could just go to cycles. And then I want to change that to GPU. And this will take a little bit of time, I'm assuming. GPU compute. And I'm just gonna wait for that. Looks like it's updating the mesh now, so that's good. Hopefully it's got enough RAM, video RAM, the card, to handle this scene. Or I would have to change it to CPU. We'll see, it's still going through. Updating mesh. Okay, everything looks like it's gonna work. Yes, and it does, and I have to say, Eevee is just not nearly as realistic as Cycles. That's just what I think about it. I mean, Eevee looks great, but Cycles is a whole different level. It's got much better realism because it actually traces light rays, how they bounce in real life. And you can see things look a lot different. And in fact, I might even change this way this HDR looks and just bring the light up. Yeah, and that looks a lot better. Less fireflies too. Fireflies are these speckly things that add noise to your scene. Yeah, and I think I want to bring this actually negative. And then that will put the light behind the camera. But I'm not so sure about that. But keep in mind that lighting is everything in a 3D scene. It really is. It can make or break a 3D scene, getting the lighting correct. So probably off camera, I'm going to spend tons of time tweaking the lighting. That's one of the most important parts. Of getting it to look great. And I can also turn this to the side, I believe. Let's try something like 30. And yeah, that doesn't look too bad. And I can bring that forward if I want. Again, it's going to start to slow down. Where is the sun? The sun's over there. Okay. What about 0? Very hard to say what I'm going for now. That is too much overhead, and it's just... I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it's just too much unevenness, I guess. I can bring that down though to like 30. But I'm not really happy with that. 40 on the Y. That's not too bad. Let's see where that's coming. That's coming from over here, so that's not too bad. Sometimes this might not even be the correct HDRI to use, especially with one single light source. It might want a cloudy day to get more diffuse lighting, but it's not too bad. This isn't too bad. I want to make it a little bit more on the top though. And then I could bring that back to 20. That one, second one. I think that actually looks great. And if I bring the brightness of the background up, something like 1, that is not too bad. Not bad at all. And nope, I'm going to put that back to 20, and then maybe I'll bring down the X just so it's a little bit more right on the top. Yeah, and I think that lighting is pretty good right there, honestly. I think I'm going to actually leave that, and it's a little bright here, but that's okay. It's not too bad. I might change that later on though a little. We'll see. I'm going to save that, and then I'm just going to apply the dirt texture and see where we go from there. I'll do the compositing in the stream. Yeah, and I've noticed I'm getting a lot of noise in these trees, so what could I do about that? First of all, I'm going to bring up these bounces. Bring up the filter glossy to 3. That might fix it right there. It's better. And then I could take the HDRI and that I'm just going to leave. This noise should be able to be cleaned up by the Intel AI denoiser. This lighting is not bad at all though. Oh, and I do not want clamping. Even though that reduces noise, I don't like to use clamping because it just destroys the dynamic range of the image. And I could turn on this to speed things up, but kind of destroys the lighting. I only use that for animations. This is all good. Okay. And now I just gotta apply the dirt texture. And I gotta see where it is. And then you know what? I might be able to in the stream just quickly create a nice texture for the top of the mountain. I'll show you how to do that really briefly before I get off live. So this is I got the dirt here, the dirt texture from tree modifier apply 2. Let's bring that in. So file, save. File, append, and then this one. Let's let that load in. Okay, and it will be object. And no, not object, material. Material. And then, which one will it be? Dirt, where is it? Okay, where's the file? Tree modifier apply 3. Oh, it's wrong one. Tree modifier apply 2. Material. And then it would be dirt. Okay. And I think it loaded it in. So I can just change that to dirt. And that should be good. Let's give that a quick render just to see what we got here. And I just decided for the ice texture at the top of the mountain, I'm not going to do that in this stream, but I will do that in the next one because I am running out of time for this stream. But that's going to be covered in the next course, so yeah. But I am going to do the compositing, some more compositing in this stream for about another 20 minutes. And yeah, you can see the dirt looks great. Things are starting to look good. Maybe that's a little dark over there. There is a way to fix that, and what I can do is just add another light, maybe an area. And I don't want to go too crazy with this. I could just shine that over there, kind of, and just make it very big. This will also decrease some of the noise. It's not necessarily realistic what I'm doing for lighting, but it makes it look better, and that's what's important. So I could change that to 50. This will just kind of add like a fill light effect, kind of just maybe improve the noise, lessen it just a little, and just improve some of the lighting, make it not so harsh. And of course it's going to cache all of the stuff into the BVH and reload the mesh. I can't wait till I get a really fast PC like a 3990X CPU. The latest one. Someday maybe. And the fastest GPU. This stuff would become, I could do this stuff much quicker. But anyway, yeah, and I think that helps. Let's see if I raise this up to like 1,000. If it's noticeable. Huh. Let's see, I'm not noticing anything. Okay, and now I'm noticing it at 100,000. Wonder why that's so weak though. It's probably too far away. Zero. Definitely don't want it that strong. I want something like 10,000. It's subtle what it's doing, but the effect is there. Want to sort of see what it looks like without it now. I think I'm going to move it over somewhere over here and just redo that. Let's let that load. It's all loading. Oh, and one thing I want to do is enable all my render passes. So I'm ready to get started on the compositing. Let's go back to our camera view and just turn that strength up. Something like 10,000. I might not even use this. Yeah, I think I'm not gonna actually use it. I think it's unnecessary. The lighting, I think, looks okay. I probably will fix it later on now. But for now, I'm pretty happy with this. So let's just go and start the main render. Okay, so I'm going to save that. And I'm not going to throw many samples at it. Because again, it's just a test render. It's not the final project. There's still lots more to do. More sci-fi elements to add in. Tiles, 256. I only need 64 because I'm going to use the denoiser. And yeah, 1920 by 1080. Everything else is good. Let's render this. Okay, and this might take a while, we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't run out of RAM on my graphics card. Okay, it's building the BVH, which is good. And keep in mind that all the geometry is not having the modifier added on, which is the decimate. So it's going to look a lot more high quality in the real render right now than it did when we saw it in the preview window here. Looks like it's not running out of RAM. It's certainly taken a while. Okay, so we didn't run out of RAM so far. It's only got 4 minutes, so I can actually... I'm not even going to exit the live stream. And there's certainly some noise. That's okay though. I'll get that cleaned up with the denoiser. That's a lot of noise. But I think the denoiser will handle that better than you expect. Hopefully. Yeah, and I don't even notice the leaves, the textures on the leaves, because they're kind of far away. So I think I'm going to leave the leaves how they are. I think they look okay. Maybe turn down the glossiness of them a little bit. And especially the shadows, they look great, the leaf shadows. I might make this darker though. That might have to be adjusted, because it looks completely different with lots of light. But we're just going to wait for this to finish. And my RX 480, this is probably going to take around 5 minutes to render, or 6 minutes. My RX 480 would have taken 30 minutes to render this image. So, yeah, for now, NVIDIA GPUs are a lot better in Blender. For now, at least. We'll see if that changes. I wish I had a setup with like 4 2080 Ti's that could render this in like half a minute. That would be incredible, but right now I don't have anything near that, but maybe someday. Yeah, I'm really happy with how the branches are looking. Everything just looks so detailed. I like that tree at the top. That looks great. And if it's too noisy for the denoiser to clear it up, I'm not going to re-render it on stream. It just takes too long, but I'll just fix that up by rendering it again off stream, because it just takes so much time. One more block to go, and then I could just start some little bit of compositing. Loading up here, and it automatically added some compositing, which I'm not too happy with because I had that updated for the last image of the circuit board I put on, but it definitely needs to be adjusted. So I'm going to actually delete this whole group and just start from scratch so you guys can see the process I use. So let's just add, before anything, glare. And before that, let's add a denoise. That's extremely important for this image especially. And I'm just gonna see if that makes it look any better. And yes, it doesn't look bad. Wow, I'm impressed. Yeah, pretty much cleared up all the noise. Let's see if we're getting any crazy artifacts. I'm gonna look more closely. Especially at the leaves, and honestly, this would pass. There may be slight, some very slight artifacts where it kind of looks just a little bit too smooth, but honestly, it would be acceptable for an image. I am very impressed at the denoiser. Hardly any artifacts. But one thing I like to do with the denoiser is mix it, but not mix it fully. So I like to take a mix and kind of just mix in the denoise and the non-denoised image. Like this, and then bring in the denoise to here, and then put it at like 0.5. So you get some of the original image, but some of the denoised. But in this case, that's just too much, so I could bring that down even further. Actually up. So this is 90% denoised and 10% original. And that's not too bad. And then maybe I could put a despeckle in after that to get rid of some of those green dots. Might not work. Yeah, it doesn't really work, so I might just leave the denoise at 100% for an image like this. And that should be okay, since this is a very severely noisy image. And if this was a final image, like a professional render, I would definitely up my samples to something more like 500 to 1,000, but for now I'm just going to leave it. And I'm not even going to use the denoise when setting up the setup because it slows things down. I'll just use that finally at the render. So now we're going to add some glare. And I'm going to remove the denoise temporarily. And I'm going to apply glare. And wow, that is crazy. I just want some fog glow at 4, 12, can go up even further, 50. I want it to be wider. Maybe 40. And this is where having cryptomat is really useful, where you can actually select your objects you want to glare and don't want to have the glare. Or you can render it in separate passes. But I'm not really going to do that now. It's very complex. And it might not even be necessary. I'm going to bring down that radius. Something like that is good. Let's take a look at that again. Before, after. Yeah, that's good. And I'm going to bring that threshold up. It's too extreme. 25, but add a mix shader, and I don't want that much mixed in. Yeah, I don't want that much. Too much. Let's bring it to something like 0.25 or 0.5. That's good. So half the amount of blur or glare. And I want sunbeams. So I'll add that next. And let's see what we can do here. I'm just going to add the original image. Take a quick view of it. Raise up the ray length. 0.5, 0.5. And now I can add that in. Where is it? Add that in. Just a little bit. And I do like that, but that's just way too intense. But I don't really like the way it's going up like that, I don't think. I might bring that down to 0. Or that would be 0.5, but that would be 0. That's more what I'm going for, but 0.5. But it's just way too strong. Just a very, very subtle effect. Not even sure I want it, honestly. I just want it for the sun. So what I'm going to do is take actually a mask box mask. And I'm going to just get rid of the area that, the walkway. Just get rid of the whole thing. So it just goes for the leaves. And I'm going to use that as, I'm going to take the image and then make a mix shader and then multiply that by this. But first of all, I'm going to change that to not. And then yeah. So now we just get the, well, no. It has to be reversed. Oh, well, what I could do is just invert it. Yeah, and now we just get the top. And we can well, we got that multiplied, and then we can do the sunbeams on that. And now we can add that in a lot more. But instead of applying it like that, I want it to go from 1 or 0 no 0.5 and then 1. Yeah, that's good. Yes, that's what I'm going for. That is perfect. And I could change that to something like 0.3. Maybe 0.2. And this looks great. I want even more of that, but I would just like to add the slightest bit of blur. Blur. Fast Gaussian. Yeah, that's definitely the kind of look I'm going for of the light. That looks great. Something like 10. Or 4 even. But I'm not sure if I want it just sharp. Maybe sharp could do. And I can always bring that up. No, I don't want that. Or I could bring that down to the left. But I'm happy with where it is. Ray length can be brought down. Yeah, and I'll probably add a little bit of blur. Yeah, and let's see, how high can this ray length go? That is just too much. I'm just going to leave it at 0.3. And lower that down to 0.3. Yeah, I'm definitely playing around with this a lot because I'm not sure what I'm happy with. Should I go with that? I think so. Not exactly happy with this, but because the reason why is because this is just a reflection and I don't really want it to be affected by that. So what I can do is just apply a box mask to that if I want. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And set it to not. Nope, actually, it would be, which one? Multiply. And I'll take that original, I'll duplicate this and then multiply it again. And or and no, and then I'm going to invert it. Okay, and does that look good? Yeah, I think so. And now I don't have that one leaf over here making all those streaks, and these are fine. I'm happy with those. Yeah, this looks great. Yeah, so what I can do is still add, to bring it even a little bit better, I can start using the mist pass. Gonna just save that. Add mist, or no, what am I doing? And no, mix, and then I'm gonna bring this to the end and add in a mix paste, which I'm going to do with the color ramp again. And then I can just, I don't know why I have that plugged in now. I don't need it as of yet, but I'm going to get the mist pass, take a look at it and see. Okay. So the mist pass is not looking too great. Huh. I'm gonna look it up if I could fix that, because I don't want to re-render it again. Okay, I think I have to re-render the whole thing. Not sure why the mispass is like this. I think I gotta normalize it. Yeah. That might be it. And then bring it here. Anyway, the values are very tight. I'm not sure what's going on with it. I'll have to investigate that later, but I think it's still workable. Normalize does fix it a little bit, so I think I could still work with it. Definitely got some research to do though on this, and I don't want the fog that extreme. So I can just add that at the very end. But all the way up. And that is way too much. Let's change the color. Thinking something like that doesn't look bad. And I don't want that much mist. But I might want it to be more on the blue side. Or green. No, I don't want that. That's a good look. That looks cool. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's make it even more subtle. Yeah. And I can also add lens distortion. And I can up that to 0.1, see what that does. And that's way too much. So I'm going to bring that down to like 0.02. Yeah, I think that looks great. And finally, I'm going to do the colors. Color balance. And always change this to offset power slope, so you can work in a scene referred workflow. Wow, and this really lets you up the contrast of everything. And if you bring it down, it doesn't look nearly as good. So I'm gonna change this here and bring both of these way up to like 2. See what happens. And look at how much different it looks. It looks a lot better too, but it's just too much. This one I'm going to keep up like 1.5. Or even higher, 1.75. And then this one, $1.75. That looks great. And now I could just adjust some of these final colors here. Kind of change the mood. But I think it's good how it is. And I'm gonna see what it looks like with denoise, because it's just too blurry. And I have to denoise every pass here, or every image, like this. And I'm going to denoise I'm going to add in the normal and see what happens. This is going to take a little while to load. But yeah, that looks great. And it might be a little dark. I'm going to change some things here and see what looks best. I could bring this all the way to 2. Or even higher on this one. Let's see what 3 does. You have all this dynamic range and you can really change it, and things just look, it really makes things pop. That's just too much though. Everything's being blown out and just doesn't look good anymore. So I'm going to just change everything back down to 1.5, I think. And I'm just going to try changing one more thing before I finish this. Just going to see some more settings here. That's 1.5. What about 2 for this? Maybe 1. That's not bad. Just gonna change a few more settings here just to see what I get. Oh, that is just too much. .75 I think I'm going to leave it at, and this one, let's say 1.5. And I think that's where I'm happy with. But I might up that just a little bit. And that looks good, and I think I'm just going to make sure I'm not losing any colors here. Yeah, and it looks like I am. Definitely am losing some of those colors. So is it this one or this one that's causing the problem? And what if I just change that to 1 and then raise this to like 3? Does that make me lose the colors? Let's see. No, it doesn't. So I don't want to go so extreme that I start losing the colors. So I have to be careful with this. This is an important setting now. There's lots of adjustments that I have to keep doing. I might bring that down. Oh, that's not bad. This could be brought way up then. Okay, that's when it starts causing problems. It's blown out to white. And that can be now the colors are fine, they're intact. Now if I put that up, and that destroys the colors, so .5. Let's see, I'm going to disable this temporarily. so I can get quicker previews. I'm gonna just get somewhere where I don't get the colors being destroyed, but I can raise the contrast up. Right about there is the limit. Okay, so it seems like if I raise this one, I have to lower this. Let's raise this to 1.5 and then lower this one to 0.5. And I think that should be fine. Yeah, and we're not losing any colors here, it looks like, at least. But we're losing some of the brightness for sure. So I can just bring the offset, I think, up. I think, I'm not really sure. No, not the correct one. But then again, maybe this is just too extreme. Maybe I'm just going too crazy with it. Let's just bring that less harsh there and see it again. Before and let's see after. I think that looks good. And then I can always just bring in a brightness and contrast and just do some slight adjustments, or even higher. But honestly, I think it's fine how it is. Yeah, I think that looks good. I might even go less with that. And then I might even add another glare. At the very end. Just a little bit of fog glow. And 9. And bring the threshold way up to like 50. Before and after. And that is looking great. Let's just mix only half of it in. Yeah, and one thing I like to do is add some blur to the glare. And I want to set that to add. I'm going to add a unique effect. And you'll see what I mean. So I don't want to, I want to take the very brightest values and on the color ramp. This is a little complex, but I think I remember how to do it. Take the very brightest values. And then I can add a blur to that. Fast Gaussian, something like 50. Maybe 100, nah, 50 should be good. And then use that as a mask, or use that for size, I believe. Maybe not. So I want to apply glare, but I don't want it to be everywhere. Actually, this might be correct. And one thing I want to mention is that I don't, I only want the processed image. Or maybe not. 0. Oh, and this is wrong. One is processed only. This has to be inverted. This has to be inverted, I think. Is that correct? Let's see. No, actually it should be fine. Okay, and that's the factor for adding that in over this. And then that has to be blurred, if I'm right. Yeah, this is correct. And then that has to be blurred, but only in the X direction. So you get something like this, but I want it a little more noticeable, and actually this should go here, and then that should get glared, I think. I could be wrong. Yeah, other way. Okay. So that way. Alright. And then maybe 30. I think would look good. Let's see. Something's not working right. Oh, wrong one. Oh, and of course, I have to apply the blur to this at about 50 for the mask. Yeah, and that gives that subtle kind of, it's subtle, but it's there. See? Right at the edges. And it's definitely a lot of work for a little effect like that, but it definitely makes a little bit of a difference. And I can always add more of it in. By pulling this up or raising it and adding a color ramp. And then adjusting these values, pulling it back a little bit, but let's say no more than 0.5. And let's see how that looks. Yeah, I think that looks great. What if I put that to point to all the way 1? Too much. 0.5. And I'll pull that back. And something right about there should be good. Yeah. And one more thing. Let's just blur the X direction at about 4. Yeah, and that just makes it a little... Okay, I think it's working again. Yeah, I just dropped it, pretty much. But, yeah. So, back to this. I got it working. I changed that to 4. And what was I gonna do? Yeah. One more thing. More dispersion. or lens distortion possibly. And I think I could change it to 0.1 on the glare itself. I'm not sure how this will look. I don't know. Might not be a good idea. Certainly looks interesting though, but oh, actually I have to add that to fit and then try it again. Yeah, I don't know. There's always jitter. That can be blown up a lot. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it how it was. I think that about wraps it up. Before I leave, let's apply. Wow, look at all these nodes we got. Did a lot today. And there's been renders where I added 10 times this amount. Just to put it into perspective. But let's open up the noise node again, and yeah, everything is looking pretty good. Let's let that render out and see how it looks. Gonna go with this for now. Yeah, looks like a nice scene. Great. Let's view it. Let's view it with the actual render view. Yeah, this is looking pretty good so far. Still lots of work to do on the ground and stuff in this, but we're starting to get somewhere. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, ask them. I will be uploading many more of these videos in the future, especially covering this project. I'll probably have a few more parts added in to complete it, but overall everything's coming together pretty nicely. I still got more 3D objects to add in, more abstract stuff to give more of a sci-fi feel to the scene, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this course so far, and yeah, if you guys have any questions, just ask them and I'll clear anything up. So yeah, thank you guys for watching.